When 30-year-old Malik Carter opened his apartment door that fateful evening, he never expected to see the ghost of his childhood standing in the hallway, holding the very bracelet he'd made her 20 years ago. Elena Ward, now a powerful CEO worth millions, had discovered a devastating secret buried in her dead father's files. Her family's company had deliberately destroyed Malik's life, stealing his mother's job and his family's home to build their empire. But as these two former friends embarked on a journey to uncover the truth about their shattered past, neither realized that their reunion would ignite a love story that would challenge everything they thought they knew about forgiveness, trust, and second chances. What Elena found in that letter would either heal two broken hearts or destroy them both forever. If you're watching this incredible story of love conquering betrayal, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. The late afternoon sun slanted through the narrow hallway windows of the Riverside apartments. Malik Carter wiped his hands on an old towel and shut the boiler room door behind him. His gray work shirt stuck to his back with sweat. The ancient heating system had fought him for 3 hours, but he'd won. He always did. The building was quiet now. Most people were still at work or picking up kids from school. Malik liked it this way. No small talk. No questions about why a 30-year-old man lived alone and kept to himself. Just the sound of his boots on the worn carpet and the distant hum of traffic outside. He climbed the stairs slowly. His body ached in the good way that came from honest work. He'd fixed Mrs. Chen's leaky faucet this morning, replaced a broken window latch for the Johnsons, and now the boiler. Tomorrow would bring more problems to solve. That was fine with him. Problems had solutions. People were messier. At the second-floor landing, he heard someone struggling with grocery bags. Mrs. Alvarez stood outside her door, fumbling with her keys while 3 paper sacks balanced against her hip. "Let me help." Malik took 2 of the bags without waiting for an answer. "Hi, Malik. You're an angel." Mrs. Alvarez smiled up at him. At 67, she was small and sturdy, with silver hair always pinned back neat. These old hands aren't what they used to be. He followed her into the apartment that smelled like coffee and the lavender candles she burned. The walls were covered with photos of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. A whole life spread out in frames. "You should ask someone to shop with you," Malik said, setting the bags on her kitchen counter. "I should, but I like my independence." She studied his face the way she always did, like she could read things he didn't say. "You know what I think?" "What's that, Mrs. Alvarez?" "I think you're too young to live like a widower." Malik's smile faded. "I'm not living like anything. I'm just living. Mijo, when was the last time you had dinner with someone? When did you last laugh with a friend?" "I'm doing fine." Mrs. Alvarez patted his arm. "Fine isn't the same as happy. Your heart is too big to keep it locked away." Malik mumbled something about checking on the hallway lights and left before she could say more. He loved the old woman, but she saw too much. Always had. His apartment was on the 3rd floor, at the end of the hall. The door was painted green, like all the others, but it was his. Inside was small but clean. A couch he'd bought used but in good shape. A table with 2 chairs, though he never had company. A TV that worked most of the time. The kitchen was just big enough for one person to move around in. Perfect. He opened the refrigerator and stared at the leftovers from 3 days ago. A container of rice, some chicken that might still be good, a half-empty bottle of hot sauce, and not much else. He should go to the store, but the thought of crowded aisles and checkout lines made him tired. Instead, he made a peanut butter sandwich and sat at the table with a glass of water. While he ate, he looked at the stack of bills by the window. Electric, phone, car insurance. All caught up, but just barely. That was how it always was. Enough, but not extra. After dinner, he washed his 1 plate and 1 glass. Dried them. Put them away. The routine was calming, no surprises. But tonight felt different, restless, like something was coming. He tried to ignore the feeling and sat on the couch with a book about fixing electrical problems. The words blurred together. His mind kept drifting to Mrs. Alvarez's comment about being too young to live like a widower. He wasn't a widower. He'd never been married, never even been close. There had been a few women over the years, but nothing that lasted, nothing that felt safe. Love was for people who could afford to get hurt and bounce back. Malik had learned early that some hurts never healed right. The feeling got stronger, like an itch under his skin. He got up and walked to the small bedroom, opened the top dresser drawer where he kept important papers, birth certificate, social security card, the lease agreement for his job that came with the apartment. Under all of that was a photograph, old and creased from being folded and unfolded too many times. 2 kids on a beach, a black boy with a gap-toothed grin, and a white girl with tangled blonde hair. Both of them maybe 10 years old, arms around each other's shoulders, looking at the camera like they owned the world. He stared at the photo for a long moment, then folded it up and put it back under the papers, shut the drawer. Some things were better left buried. Outside, he heard a car door slam. Not unusual. People came and went all the time. But this sound was different. Softer. More expensive. Like the door was built to close quietly instead of bang. He went to the window and looked down at the street. A silver sedan sat at the curb. Foreign. Clean. The kind of car that cost more than he made in a year. Someone was sitting inside, but he couldn't see who through the tinted windows. Probably someone lost. Or maybe visiting the Hernandez family on the first floor. Their daughter had moved to the suburbs and sometimes came back to see them. Malik was about to turn away when he heard footsteps on the stairs inside the building. Slow, careful, coming up. The footsteps stopped at the 2nd floor, then started again, coming toward the 3rd floor. A knock on his door made him freeze. 3 soft raps. Polite. Nothing aggressive about it, but somehow it made his chest tight. He looked through the peephole and saw a woman standing in the hallway. She was tall and slim, wearing a dark coat that looked expensive. Her blonde hair was pulled back smooth. She held something in her hands, but he couldn't see what. Malik. Her voice was muffled by the door, but clear, familiar in a way that made his stomach drop. I know you're there. Please. He stepped back from the door like it was on fire. It couldn't be. After 20 years, it couldn't be. But he knew that voice. Even older, even changed, he knew it. Malik, please open the door. I need to talk to you. His hand moved to the deadbolt, then stopped. His mind raced. Why now? Why after all this time? What could she possibly want? Nothing good. People from his past never brought good news. Go away, he said through the door. I can't. I tried to, but I can't. Please. Just give me 10 minutes. We have nothing to talk about. We do. About the oath. About what really happened when we were kids. The oath. Jesus. She remembered the oath. His hand shook as he turned the deadbolt and opened the door. Elena Ward stood in his hallway like a ghost made real. She looked older, polished, successful. Her coat probably cost more than his monthly rent. But her eyes were the same, blue and bright and nervous. In her hands was a braided bracelet, leather and colored thread, faded now, but still holding together. He'd made it for her when they were 10 years old. Malik. Her voice was soft, almost scared. Remember our old childhood oath? His face went hard. No. You do. I know you do. That was a long time ago. I know, but I need... He started to close the door. She put her palm against it, not pushing, just stopping him. Please. I know how this looks. I know you have every reason to hate me. But I found something. A letter. About what really happened to your family. My family is none of your business. It is now. Please, just let me explain. No. He pushed harder on the door. Malik, I know why you had to move away. I know why your mom lost the job at the hotel. I know about the house. His blood went cold. You don't know anything. My father's company made it happen. I have proof. The hallway started spinning. Malik gripped the doorframe. What? I found a letter in his files after he died. I can't sleep, Malik. I haven't slept right in months. I need to make this right. You can't make anything right. It's 20 years too late for right. Elena's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. I know, but I have to try. Footsteps on the stairs interrupted them. Tanya's voice called out, Malik? You okay up there? His sister appeared at the top of the stairs, carrying 2 bags of groceries. She was 3 years older than Malik, with short natural hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. When she saw Elena, those eyes went cold. Who is this? Tanya, this is Elena Ward, Elena said, stepping back to give them space. I'm an old friend of Malik's. Old friend. Tanya looked Elena up and down, taking in the expensive coat, the perfect hair, the way she held herself like someone used to being in charge. Uh-huh. She was just leaving, Malik said. I understand you don't trust me, Elena said to Tanya, then looked back at Malik. I understand you don't want me here, but I can't leave until I tell you the truth. Not this time. What truth? About why your family really had to leave Millbrook. About the hotel job and the house and all of it. Tanya stepped closer to Malik. What is she talking about? I don't know. I have documents. I have proof of what my family's business did to yours. I can't change it, but I can tell you what really happened. Elena looked between them, then made a decision. I'll wait downstairs, in the lobby. You don't have to invite me into your home. You don't have to trust me. But please, just give me 10 minutes to show you what I found. She turned and walked to the stairs, leaving them alone in the hallway. Who was that? Tanya demanded. Malik rubbed his face with both hands. Elena Ward. Ward? Like the family that owns half the hotels on the coast? Yeah. How do you know her? We were kids together, in Millbrook before we moved here. Tanya's expression softened slightly. The friend you used to talk about? The one you said you missed? Malik nodded. What does she want? I don't know. She says she has information about why Mom lost her job. After 20 years, that's convenient. I know. Tanya studied his face. You're going to talk to her, aren't you? I shouldn't. But you are. Malik was quiet for a long moment. Then, she still has the bracelet. What bracelet? One I made for her when we were kids. She kept it all this time. Tanya sighed. Malik, rich people don't show up at your door to make things right. They show up when they want something. I know. So, what are you going to do? He looked toward the stairs. Talk to her, in the lobby, with you there. Damn right with me there. They found Elena sitting on the old couch in the lobby, clutching the bracelet in her hands like it was keeping her together. She stood up when they came down the stairs. Thank you, she said. Malik sat in the chair across from her. Tanya remained standing, arms crossed. Talk, Malik said. Elena took a breath. My father died 6 months ago. Heart attack. I've been going through his business files, settling the estate. Last month I found a sealed envelope with my name on it. Inside was a letter he wrote, but never sent, and copies of documents. She pulled a folded piece of paper from her coat pocket. He wrote this 2 years ago. I think he was feeling guilty about something. Read it, Tanya said. Elena unfolded the letter. Her hands shook slightly. It's long, but the important part says, Elena, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you're dealing with the choices I made. I need you to know about the Carter family in Millbrook. We bought the hotel where Gloria Carter worked. It was profitable, and we wanted the staff. But there was pressure from some of the town council to hire locally instead of keeping the existing workers. I could have fought it, but I didn't. I let them push her out along with several other families. Then we bought their neighborhood when the property values dropped. I told myself it was just business, but it wasn't. It was wrong. I destroyed that family to make money, and I never made it right. The lobby was completely quiet. Malik stared at her, his face unreadable. My mom didn't lose her job because she wasn't good enough, he said finally. No, she lost it because my father chose profit over people. And our house? When enough families lost income, property values dropped. Ward Development bought the whole neighborhood 6 months later, turned it into vacation rentals. Tanya sat down hard on the arm of Malik's chair. Son of a bitch. Malik felt 20 years of shame and confusion rearranging themselves in his chest. His mother had blamed herself for losing the job, had worked 2 part-time jobs after that, never making enough to get ahead, had died 10 years ago still believing she hadn't been good enough. Why are you telling me this? His voice was rough. Because I can't live with it. Because I've spent 6 months knowing what my family did to yours, and I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't focus on anything. So this is about you feeling better. No. Elena looked him in the eye. This is about keeping a promise I made when I was 10 years old. What promise? The oath. We promised that if one of us was ever scared or alone, the other would show up, no matter what. Malik remembered. They'd been sitting on the beach in Millbrook, making plans for when they grew up. They'd cut their palms with a piece of broken shell and pressed them together, promising to always be there for each other. 3 weeks later, his family had packed everything they owned into a beat-up car and left town. He'd never seen Elena again. I didn't show up when you needed me, Elena continued. I was just a kid, and I didn't understand what was happening. But I should have tried to find you. I should have written. I should have done something. You were 10, old enough to remember a promise. Tanya looked between them. So what do you want now? Forgiveness? Absolution? I want to make it right. You can't bring back 20 years, Malik said. I know, but I can tell you the truth. And I can ask you to come with me back to Millbrook. There's someone there who remembers what happened. Someone who can fill in the details. Who? Mrs. Holloway. She worked at the hotel with your mom. She still lives there. Malik shook his head. I'm not going back there. I understand. But the oath wasn't just about showing up. It was about being brave enough to face scary things together. That was kids playing make-believe. Was it? Elena stood up slowly. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking you to be my friend. I'm asking you to let me keep a promise I should have kept 20 years ago. She set a business card on the small table between them. If you change your mind, call me. I'll drive. I'll pay for everything. You can set whatever boundaries you want. She started toward the door, then stopped. Malik. What? I never forgot you, not once in 20 years. After she left, Malik and Tanya sat in the lobby for a long time without talking. You're going to go, aren't you? Tanya finally said. I shouldn't, but you are. Maybe. Why? Malik picked up the business card. Elena Ward, CEO, Ward Development. Because I need to know. Mom died thinking she wasn't good enough. If there's a chance to understand what really happened. Rich people lie, Malik. They tell you what you want to hear, so they can feel better about themselves. She didn't have to come here. She could have sent money or a lawyer or just ignored it. Or she could be setting you up for something. For what? I don't know. But people like her don't live in the same world as people like us. Whatever she's really after, it's not about making you feel better. Malik turned the card over in his hands. On the back, Elena had written something in pen. No expectations, just truth. E. I have to go, he said finally. Then I'm going with you. No. Malik, this is something I need to do alone. Tanya studied his face in the way only sisters could. You still care about her. I barely remember her. You remember enough to keep a picture in your drawer. Malik's head snapped up. How do you... I'm your sister. I know things. Tanya's voice softened. Just be careful. People from your past don't usually come back to help. They come back when they need something. That night, Malik lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Outside, the city hummed with late-night traffic and distant voices. Inside, his apartment was quiet except for the old radiator clicking on and off. He kept thinking about Elena's hands shaking when she read the letter, about the way she'd said she couldn't sleep, about the bracelet she'd kept for 20 years. And he thought about his mother. Gloria Carter had been proud and strong and kind. She'd worked hard and loved deeply and died believing she'd failed somewhere along the way. If there was a chance to understand what really happened to her, how could he not take it? At midnight, he picked up his phone and typed a text message. I'll go, but I drive. And we do this my way. He stared at the message for 5 minutes before hitting send. The reply came back almost immediately. Thank you. Whatever your terms are, I agree. Malik set the phone down and finally fell asleep. For the first time in months, he didn't dream about being left behind. The next morning, Elena was waiting by her car when he came downstairs. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept much either. But she was dressed simply, jeans and a sweater instead of the expensive coat, like she was trying to fit in. You came, she said. I said I would. I know, but I wasn't sure you'd really do it. Malik studied her face. Without makeup and fancy clothes, she looked more like the girl he remembered. Older, but the same eyes. The same way of standing with her weight on one foot when she was nervous. Ground rules, he said. Okay. I drive my car. You pay for gas and food, but nothing else. No gifts, no money, no charity. We go. We talk to Mrs. Holloway. We come back. That's it. Understood. If I want to leave at any point, we leave. No arguments. Agreed. And this doesn't make us friends. This doesn't fix anything between us. This is just about getting information. Elena nodded. I know. Get in. The drive to Millbrook took 3 hours. For the first hour, they barely spoke. Malik focused on the road while Elena stared out the window. The silence wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't angry either. It was careful. They stopped for gas and coffee at a rest area. Elena tried to pay for everything, but Malik insisted on splitting it. She didn't argue. Can I ask you something? Elena said, as they got back in the car. Depends. What did you think happened when your family had to move? Malik was quiet for a moment. Mom said the new owners wanted to bring in their own people. She said she wasn't experienced enough for a big hotel chain. Did you believe her? I was 10. I believed whatever my mom told me. What about later, when you were older? Malik shrugged. I figured she was probably right. We were just regular people. Why would they want to keep us around when they could hire people with better training? Your mom was good at her job. She was the best. She knew every guest's name, remembered what they liked, made them feel special. People used to ask for her specifically. Elena was quiet after that. They drove through small towns and farmland, the landscape getting more familiar as they got closer to the coast. Malik's hands tightened on the steering wheel. You okay? Elena asked. Fine. But he wasn't fine. Every mile brought back memories he'd buried. The smell of salt air, the sound of seagulls, the feeling of being a kid who believed the world was safe and good and full of possibility. When they finally crossed the bridge into Millbrook, Malik had to pull over. "I need a minute," he said. Elena didn't say anything. She just waited while he sat in the parking lot of a bait shop, looking out at the water where he used to swim with her every summer afternoon. Everything looked smaller than he remembered, but it still looked like home. The main street of Millbrook looked like a postcard someone had left in the sun too long. The colors were faded but still pretty. Small shops lined both sides of the road, selling things like handmade soaps and paintings of lighthouse scenes. Tourists walked slowly, pointing at window displays and taking pictures. Malik parked in front of what used to be Miller's hardware store. Now it was called Coastal Treasures and sold seashell jewelry. "Everything's different," he said. Elena looked around. "Not everything. The ice cream shop is still there, and the bookstore." She was right, but those places looked expensive now. Clean windows, fancy signs, prices that would make a working family think twice. "Where's the hotel?" Malik asked. 2 blocks up. It's called the Millbrook Grand now." They walked slowly down the sidewalk. Malik felt like people were staring, but maybe that was just in his head. A black man and a white woman together wasn't unusual, but this was a small town. People noticed strangers. The hotel sat on a hill overlooking the water. It was bigger than Malik remembered, with new wings added on both sides. A sign out front advertised luxury coastal experience and historic charm with modern amenities. "My mom used to clean those rooms," Malik said. "All of them." "She was head of housekeeping, right?" "For 8 years, started when I was 2. He pointed to a window on the 3rd floor. "She used to let me help her sometimes during summer vacation. I'd carry fresh towels and help make beds." Elena was quiet. She looked at the hotel like it was a crime scene. They walked down to the beach where they used to play. The sand was the same, but there were new houses built along the dunes, big houses with lots of windows and 3-car garages. "Those weren't here before," Malik said. "Ward Development built them 5 years ago," Elena said quietly. "Your company?" "My company now. My father's company then." Malik sat down on a piece of driftwood. Elena sat a few feet away, giving him space. "We used to build sand castles right here," he said. "I remember. You always made the towers too tall. They'd fall over. You always made the walls too thick. Took forever." Elena almost smiled. "We were both stubborn. Still are, I guess." They sat watching the waves for a while. A few families were scattered along the beach. Kids ran in and out of the water, screaming with joy when the cold waves hit their feet. Parents followed with towels and warnings to be careful. "It was a good place to be a kid," Malik said. "The best." "So why did your family really leave?" Elena looked surprised. "We didn't leave. We moved to the big house on Elm Street when I was 12. But you stopped hanging out with me before that." Elena was quiet for a long time. "My mother said I was getting too old to play with boys, said it wasn't appropriate anymore. Because I was black." She didn't say that exactly, but yeah, that's what she meant. Malik felt old anger stirring in his chest. Not at Elena, but at the whole situation. At how easy it was for people to decide that friendship didn't matter when other things got in the way. "Did you fight her on it?" "I tried. I was 12. I didn't have much power." "So you just stopped coming to the beach?" "I came a few times. You weren't there. Because my family left town right after you disappeared." Elena turned to look at him. "I didn't know. When you stopped showing up, I thought you were mad at me. I thought maybe you found better friends." There were no better friends. The words hung between them. Elena's eyes got bright like she might cry, but she didn't. "We messed everything up, didn't we?" she said. "We were kids. Adults messed everything up." Elena pulled the braided bracelet from her pocket. It looked fragile in the sunlight, like it might fall apart if she breathed on it wrong. I wore this every day for a year after you left, she said. My mother finally made me take it off. Said it looked cheap. It was cheap. I made it from scraps. It was the best gift anyone ever gave me. Malik took the bracelet and turned it over in his hands. He remembered making it, sitting on Elena's back porch, carefully weaving the leather strips while she read him a book about pirates. Her grandmother had been visiting that week and taught them both how to braid. You really kept this for 20 years? In a jewelry box my grandmother gave me, right next to my first pair of pearl earrings and my confirmation medal. Why? Because it was the only thing I had that proved we were real. That proved I had a friend who saw me for who I really was, not who my parents wanted me to be. Malik handed the bracelet back. Their fingers brushed for a second, and he felt something electric. Not romantic exactly, but like recognition. Like his body remembered hers even after all this time. We should find Mrs. Holloway, he said, standing up fast. Elena nodded and put the bracelet away. They found Mrs. Holloway's address in the phone book at the library. She lived in a small house near the elementary school, with a garden full of vegetables and flowers. When she answered the door, she looked at Malik for a long moment, before her face broke into a smile. Malik Carter. I'd know those eyes anywhere. Hello, Mrs. Holloway. She was smaller than he remembered, with gray hair and gentle hands that were rough from years of work. But her smile was exactly the same. Come in, and you must be Elena. I remember you too, honey. You two were thick as thieves. Mrs. Holloway's living room was full of photographs and plants. She served them iced tea and homemade cookies while she talked about the old days. Your mama was the best worker that hotel ever had, she told Malik. Kind to everyone, never missed a day. Guests loved her. What happened when the hotel was sold? Elena asked. Mrs. Holloway's face got serious. New management came in, said they were going to upgrade everything, make it more professional. Professional how? Malik asked. They wanted workers with formal training, hotel management degrees, certificates, that kind of thing. Most of us had learned on the job. But you knew how to do the work. Sure we did. Better than any fresh college graduate. But they said the new standards required documented education. Elena leaned forward. Was that really the reason? Mrs. Holloway glanced between them. Honey, can I speak plainly? Please. The new owners wanted to hire young, pretty white girls for the front desk and restaurant. They wanted the cleaning staff to be invisible. Your mama was too friendly, too well known in town. Guests would stop and talk with her for 20 minutes. That didn't fit their image. Malik felt his chest tighten. So they fired her for being good at her job. They didn't fire her exactly. They offered her a position in laundry at minimum wage. No contact with guests. She had too much pride for that. Did other people get fired too? 6 of us lost our jobs that first month. All the older women, all the locals who'd been there for years. They kept the young ones who would work cheap and not ask questions. Elena was quiet, but Malik could see her hands clenched in her lap. Mrs. Holloway, Elena said carefully, do you remember anything about pressure from the town council? Any political reasons for the changes? The older woman's eyes sharpened. Why do you ask? Elena explained about the letter she'd found, about her father's admission that he'd let political pressure influence his decisions. Mrs. Holloway nodded slowly. There were rumors. Some of the town council members had ties to the development company. They wanted the hotel to hire locally, meaning their friends' kids and relatives. Your mama and the other experienced workers were in the way. So it wasn't about qualifications at all, Malik said. It was about money and connections. Same as always. They talked for another hour. Mrs. Holloway shared more details about the hotel sale, about how the town had changed afterward, how property taxes had gone up, and longtime residents had been forced to move, how businesses that catered to locals had been replaced by boutiques for tourists. It wasn't just your family that got hurt, she said. The whole character of the town changed. We lost something important. When they got ready to leave, Mrs. Holloway hugged them both. Your mama would be proud of the man you became, Malik. And Elena, honey, it takes courage to face the truth about your family. That's worth something. In the car driving back, they were both quiet for a long time. I'm sorry, Elena finally said. For what? For what my family did to yours. For the choices my father made. For all of it. Malik stared at the road ahead. Part of him wanted to stay angry. Anger was easier than the complicated feelings swirling around in his chest, but Mrs. Holloway's words kept echoing in his head. It wasn't your fault, he said. You were 12. I still benefited from it. My family got richer while yours struggled. Yeah, but you can't change that now. I can try to make it right. How? Elena was quiet for a moment. I don't know yet, but I can start by keeping that promise I made when we were kids. What promise? To show up, to be there when things get scary. Malik glanced at her. Things aren't scary now. They're just complicated. Sometimes that's the same thing. They stopped for dinner at a small restaurant off the highway. It wasn't fancy, just a family place with good food and reasonable prices. Elena tried to pay for everything, but Malik insisted on splitting the check again. You don't have to do that, she said. Yeah, I do. Why? Because I'm not a charity case. I can pay for my own dinner. Elena looked hurt. I didn't think you were a charity case. I thought I was buying dinner for a friend. We're not friends. Right. I forgot. But the words sounded hollow, even to him. The day had been strange and painful, and somehow healing. Sitting across from Elena, watching her listen carefully to Mrs. Holloway, seeing her react with genuine sadness to the truth about what her family had done, it felt like friendship, or at least like the beginning of something. I don't know what we are, he said finally. Me neither. But I'm glad you came to find me. I'm glad we went to see Mrs. Holloway. Elena smiled for the first time all day. A real smile, not the polite one she'd been wearing. Me too. On the drive back to the city, Elena fell asleep in the passenger seat. Malik found himself looking at her when he stopped at red lights. She looked younger when she slept, less guarded, more like the girl he used to know. When they got back to his apartment building, she woke up as he parked. We're here, he said. She sat up, looking confused for a moment. Sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep. It's okay. They sat in the car for a moment, neither moving to get out. What happens now? Elena asked. I don't know. Can I see you again? Malik thought about it. A day ago, he would have said no immediately. Now he wasn't sure. Why? Because I like talking to you. Because I missed you more than I realized. Because I don't want to wait another 20 years to have a conversation. Elena, I'm not asking for anything complicated. Just maybe coffee sometimes. Or a phone call. I know I don't deserve your friendship, but I'd like to try to earn it. Malik studied her face in the dim light from the street lamp. She looked hopeful and scared at the same time. No gifts, he said. No money. No trying to fix my life. Agreed. And if I say I need space, you give it to me. Of course. And no bringing up the past every 5 minutes. What happened happened. We can't change it. Elena nodded. I understand. Malik surprised himself by saying, okay. Okay. Coffee. Sometimes. We'll see how it goes. Elena's smile was like sunrise. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I'm not easy to be friends with. Neither am I. Good. Then we're even. Elena got out of the car and walked to her own vehicle. Before she drove away, she rolled down the window. Malik? Yeah. The oath still counts. If you ever need someone to show up, call me. Same to you. After she left, Malik sat in his car for a few minutes before going inside. Tanya was waiting in the lobby, pretending to read a magazine. "How did it go?" she asked. "Good. Hard, but good." "Did you get answers?" "Some." Malik told her about Mrs. Holloway, about the real reason their mother had lost her job. Tanya listened without interrupting, her face getting angrier with each detail. "So Mom was right to be proud of her work," Tanya said finally. "She was good at her job. They just didn't want her to be." "Yeah. And Elena? What's her angle?" Malik thought about the question. "I don't think she has one. I think she really just wanted to tell me the truth. And now? Now we're going to try being friends." Tanya raised an eyebrow. "Friends?" "Yes, friends. What's wrong with that?" "Nothing. Just be careful, okay? Rich people have a different definition of friendship than we do." "Elena's not like that." "How do you know? You haven't seen her in 20 years. Malik didn't have a good answer for that. But something in his chest felt lighter than it had in months. Like a weight he'd been carrying around had finally been set down. "I'll be careful," he promised. "Good. Because I like seeing you happy, but I don't want to watch you get hurt." That night, Malik took the old photograph out of his dresser drawer. He looked at it for a long time. 2 kids on a beach, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. Then, for the first time in years, he put it on his nightstand where he could see it. Some things were worth remembering after all. The next morning, he woke up to a text message from Elena. "Thank you for yesterday. I slept better last night than I have in months." He typed back, "Me too." It was a small thing, just 2 words. But it felt like a beginning. 3 weeks passed before Elena called. Malik had started to think maybe she'd changed her mind about being friends. Maybe going back to Millbrook had been enough for her. Maybe she'd done her good deed and could sleep at night now. He was fixing a broken window in Mrs. Chen's apartment when his phone buzzed. "Hi." Elena's voice sounded nervous. "Is this a bad time?" "I'm working. What's up?" "I was wondering if you wanted to get that coffee we talked about. If you're still interested." Malik set down his screwdriver. Through the window, he could see kids playing in the courtyard below. Normal life happening while his heart decided to beat faster for no good reason. "When?" "Tomorrow. There's a place near your building called Rosa's. Would that work?" He knew Rosa's. Good coffee, reasonable prices, not fancy. Elena had done her homework. "What time?" "Whatever works for you." 2 o'clock. Perfect. See you there." After she hung up, Malik stood in Mrs. Chen's living room feeling strange, like he'd just agreed to something bigger than coffee. "You okay, Malik?" Mrs. Chen asked from the kitchen. "Yeah, fine." But he wasn't fine. He was nervous, and that made him angry at himself. It was just coffee with an old friend, nothing complicated about it. Except Elena wasn't just an old friend. She was the girl who'd disappeared from his life without explanation. The woman whose family had destroyed his. The person he'd thought about more in the past 3 weeks than he wanted to admit. Rosa's cafe was busy when Malik arrived. The lunch crowd was clearing out, leaving mostly people with laptops and students from the community college. Elena was already there, sitting at a small table by the window. She'd ordered black coffee and was reading something on her phone. She looked up when he walked in. Smiled. Stood up like she wasn't sure whether to hug him or shake his hand. They settled on an awkward wave. "Thanks for coming," she said. "Thanks for not picking someplace expensive." Elena laughed. "I looked at their menu online first. Made sure it was somewhere you'd be comfortable." Malik went to the counter and ordered coffee and a sandwich. When he came back, Elena was putting her phone away. "Work?" he asked. "My assistant. She's convinced I'm having some kind of breakdown because I've been leaving the office on time lately." "Are you? Having a breakdown?" "Maybe. but a good kind. They talked about small things at first. The weather, changes in the neighborhood. Elena asked about his job, and he told her about the building, about the tenants, about how he liked fixing things because problems had solutions. "What about you?" he asked. "Do you like running a company?" Elena made a face. "Some days. Other days I feel like I'm drowning in other people's expectations." "Like what?" "My mother thinks I should be married with kids by now. My board thinks I should be more aggressive about expansion. My assistant thinks I should hire a publicist. Everyone has an opinion about how I should live my life." "What do you think?" "I think I've spent 30 years trying to make other people happy and forgotten what makes me happy." Malik studied her face. "What did make you happy? When we were kids?" "Reading, swimming, building things in the sand." Elena smiled. "Being your friend. We had good times. The best." They were quiet for a moment, both thinking about the past. "Can I ask you something?" Elena said. "Sure." "When you were growing up, after you moved here, were you happy?" Malik thought about it. "Happy isn't the word I'd use. Content, maybe. We had enough. Mom worked hard to make sure we felt secure. But lonely. Yeah, lonely. Me too. Even with all the privilege and opportunities, I was lonely. I kept thinking maybe you'd call someday. Or write a letter. Or I'd see you at the mall or something. I thought about calling, but I didn't know your number, and after a while I figured you'd probably forgotten about me." "Never." The word hung between them. Malik felt something shift in his chest. Not romantic exactly, but warm. Like coming inside from the cold. "So what now?" he asked. "What do you mean?" "We've had coffee. We've talked about the past. What happens next?" Elena looked uncertain. "I don't know. What do you want to happen?" Malik surprised himself by saying, "I'd like to do this again sometime." "Really?" "Really." Elena's smile was bright enough to light up the whole cafe. "I'd like that too." They agreed to meet again the following week. This time, Malik would pick the place. As they walked out together, Elena turned to him. "Malik? Yeah? I know this is weird, us being friends after everything that happened, but it feels right. Does it feel right to you?" Malik looked at her standing on the sidewalk in the afternoon sun. Her hair was a little messy from the wind. She had a small coffee stain on her shirt. She looked real and imperfect and familiar. "Yeah," he said, "it feels right." The next week, Malik chose a food truck festival in the park. It was crowded and noisy and completely different from Rose's quiet cafe. Elena looked overwhelmed at first, but she followed his lead. They got Korean tacos and sat on a bench watching families and couples enjoy the sunny afternoon. "This is fun," Elena said, sauce dripping down her chin. "You sound surprised." "I am. I don't usually do things like this." "Like what?" "Spontaneous things, messy things, fun things." Malik handed her a napkin. "Why not?" "Because I'm always worried about how it will look. What if someone takes a picture? What if I spill something on my clothes? What if I look foolish?" "You do look foolish," Malik said. "You've got kimchi in your teeth." Elena covered her mouth, embarrassed. Then she started laughing. "Oh God, I do, don't I?" "Yeah. But it's okay. Everyone looks foolish sometimes." Elena wiped her teeth with the napkin, still laughing. "I can't remember the last time someone told me I looked foolish." "Really?" "Really. People are usually too scared to be honest with me." "Because you're rich? Because I'm the boss? Because I have power? Because they need things from me?" Elena's expression grew sad. "Sometimes I think everyone in my life is performing for me, telling me what they think I want to hear." "That sounds lonely." "It is." Malik thought about that. "I don't need anything from you." "I know. That's why this feels different. They spent the rest of the afternoon walking around the festival. Elena tried everything: barbecue, ice cream, fresh lemonade. She got mustard on her shirt and didn't seem to care. She laughed at Malik's jokes and made a few of her own. When they said goodbye, she looked reluctant to leave. "Same time next week?" she asked. "If you want." "I want." The third week, Elena suggested they go somewhere together. "Not a date," she said quickly. "Just an adventure, like when we were kids." "What kind of adventure?" "There's a pottery class at the community center. We could make something ugly together." Malik raised an eyebrow. "Pottery? Why not? When's the last time you made something just for fun?" He couldn't remember. The pottery class was full of middle-aged women and a few couples. The instructor was a cheerful woman named Sarah who didn't seem to recognize Elena or care that they were the most awkward students in the room. "Don't think too much," Sarah told them. "Just let your hands do what feels natural." Malik's bowl looked like it had been made during an earthquake. Elena's looked like abstract art. They were both terrible. "These are going to crack in the kiln," Elena said, examining her lopsided creation. "Probably." "I don't care. This is the most fun I've had in years." Malik looked at her hands covered in clay, her hair falling in her face, her clothes splattered with brown spots. She looked completely different from the polished CEO who'd shown up at his door a month ago. "You're different than I expected," he said. "Different how?" "I thought you'd be more, I don't know, uptight, demanding." "I am uptight and demanding, at work, but not here, not with you." "Why not with me?" Elena considered the question while she shaped her clay. "Because you knew me before I became those things. Because you make me remember who I used to be." "Who were you?" "A girl who wasn't afraid to get dirty, who laughed all the time, who thought anything was possible." Elena looked at him. "Who were you?" "A kid who believed people were basically good, who thought if you worked hard and did the right thing, life would work out fair." "Do you still believe that?" Malik thought about it. "I'm starting to again." After the pottery class, they walked to a nearby diner. It was nothing fancy. Red vinyl booths and fluorescent lights and a menu that hadn't changed in 20 years. But the food was good and the coffee was strong. "Can I tell you something?" Elena said over apple pie. "Sure." "I've been thinking about what Mrs. Holloway said. About courage. About facing the truth about your family." "Okay. I want to do something about it. About what my father's company did to your neighborhood." Malik set down his fork. "Like what?" "I don't know yet. But something real. Not just an apology." "Elena." "I know what you're going to say. That it won't bring back what was lost. That it won't fix the past." "You're right. But maybe it could help the future." Malik studied her face. She was serious. "What are you thinking?" "Maybe there's a way to create opportunities for families like yours were. Maybe there's a way to make sure development helps communities instead of destroying them." "That's a nice idea, but companies don't usually choose community over profit." "Some do. Mine could. Your board would never agree to that." "Maybe not. But I'm the CEO. I have some power." Malik felt a familiar wariness creeping in. "Elena, I don't want to be your project." "What do you mean?" "I don't want you to try to fix my life or my community because you feel guilty about the past." Elena looked hurt. "That's not what this is, isn't it? No. This is about doing the right thing. About using the power I have to make things better." "For who?" "For people like your mother. For families who get pushed out when developers move in. For communities that deserve to grow without losing their character." Malik wanted to believe her. But rich people always had good intentions. That didn't mean they understood the consequences of their actions. "Just be careful," he said. "Good intentions can still cause harm." Elena nodded. I know. That's why I want your help. My help? You understand things I don't. You know what it's like to be on the receiving end of other people's choices. I need that perspective. Malik felt something cold settle in his stomach. I'm not qualified to advise a CEO. You're qualified to tell me the truth. That's more than most of my advisors do. Elena, think about it, okay? You don't have to decide now. Just think about it. On the drive home, Malik felt confused. Part of him was flattered that Elena valued his opinion. Part of him was suspicious of her motives. And part of him was scared of getting pulled into her world, where he didn't understand the rules. When he got back to his apartment, Tanya was waiting in the lobby again. You're making this a habit, he said. Someone has to keep an eye on you. How was your date? It wasn't a date. Right. How was your not date? Malik told her about the pottery class, about Elena's idea for using her company to help communities. Tanya listened with a skeptical expression. She wants to hire you. Tanya asked. Not hire, consult. Same thing. Is it? Malik, think about this. A month ago, you'd never heard from this woman in 20 years. Now she's offering you a job? She's not offering me a job. She's asking for advice. Advice that she'll pay for. She didn't mention money. She will. Rich people always do. And when she does, you'll be working for her. You'll be dependent on her. And then what happens to your friendship? Malik sat down heavily in one of the lobby chairs. I don't know. I'm not saying don't trust her. I'm saying be smart about it. Don't let her guilt about the past turn you into her project. That's what I told her. Good. What did she say? That it wasn't about guilt. That it was about doing the right thing. Tanya snorted. Rich people always think their ideas are the right thing. Maybe this one is. Maybe. But maybe it's also a way for her to feel better about her family's money. Maybe it's a way to keep you close without having to deal with being equals. Malik looked at his sister. You think I'm being naive? I think you're being hopeful, which isn't bad, but hope can make you blind to reality. That night, Malik lay in bed thinking about Tanya's words. Was he being naive? Was Elena trying to turn him into her project? Or was she genuinely trying to do something good? He thought about the pottery class, about Elena covered in clay, laughing at her own mistakes, about the way she'd listened to Mrs. Holloway, about the way she'd kept the bracelet for 20 years. None of that felt calculated. It felt real. But Tanya was right about one thing. Rich people lived in a different world. Even with the best intentions, Elena might not understand what she was asking of him. The next morning, he got a text from Elena. Thank you for yesterday, for the pottery and the honesty. I know I'm asking a lot. Take all the time you need to think about it. Malik stared at the message for a long time before texting back. I will. But even as he sent it, he knew he'd already made up his mind. He was going to say yes, not because he thought it would work, not because he trusted Elena's business instincts, but because he wanted to believe that people could change, that good intentions could lead to good actions. That maybe, just maybe, the past could be redeemed. A week later, Elena called with news. There's a problem, she said without preamble. What kind of problem? The kind that involves cameras and reporters and people who don't know anything about our situation making assumptions. Malik's stomach dropped. What happened? Someone took a picture of us at the food truck festival. It's online, with speculation about our relationship. What kind of speculation? Elena was quiet for a moment. The kind that makes me look like I'm dating my employee. And you look like you're being bought. Malik closed his eyes. How bad is it? Bad enough that my assistant is getting calls. Bad enough that there are rumors. What rumors? That I'm having a midlife crisis. That you're a gold digger. That the whole thing is a publicity stunt. Elena's voice was tight with anger. None of which is true. But that doesn't matter to people who want to create drama. Malik felt the familiar weight of being judged by strangers, of having his motives questioned and his dignity stripped away. "I'm sorry," Elena said. "I should have been more careful. I should have thought about how it would look." "Yeah, you should have." "Malik, I need some time to think. I understand. I'll call you." "Okay." But after he hung up, Malik wasn't sure he would call. Being friends with Elena was one thing. Being the subject of gossip and speculation was another. He'd worked too hard to build a quiet, dignified life to have it torn apart by rumors and assumptions. Some risks weren't worth taking. Some friendships cost too much. For 3 days, Malik didn't answer Elena's calls. He went to work, fixed what needed fixing, and avoided looking at his phone. But the silence felt wrong, like he was punishing her for something that wasn't entirely her fault. On Thursday morning, Mrs. Alvarez cornered him in the hallway. "You look terrible," she said without preamble. "Good morning to you too, Mrs. Alvarez." "Don't get smart with me. What's wrong?" Malik sighed. "Relationship trouble." "With that pretty blonde girl who came to see you?" "You saw her?" "I see everything in this building. She looked nice, nervous, but nice." "It's complicated." Mrs. Alvarez studied his face with those sharp eyes. "Complicated how? She married? You married? Someone sick?" "No, nothing like that." "Then what?" Malik found himself telling her about the photo, about the rumors, about how exposed and judged he felt. Mrs. Alvarez listened without interrupting. "So you're hiding," she said when he finished. "I'm not hiding. I'm protecting myself." "Same thing." Mrs. Alvarez shook her head. "Mijo, let me tell you something. I've been alive 67 years. You know what I learned?" "What?" "Other people will always have opinions about your life. Always. You can live in a cave and they'll say you're antisocial. You can be friendly and they'll say you're fake. You can work hard and they'll say you're showing off. You can't control what people think. I know that." "Do you?" "Because you're acting like their opinions matter more than your happiness." "It's not that simple." "It is that simple." "You care about this girl?" Malik thought about Elena covered in clay, laughing at her own mistakes, about the way she'd listened to Mrs. Holloway, about how she'd kept the bracelet for 20 years. "Yeah, I care about her." "She care about you?" "I think so." "Then the rest is just noise." Mrs. Alvarez patted his arm and walked away, leaving him standing in the hallway feeling foolish. That evening, Elena showed up at his building. She didn't come inside. She just stood on the sidewalk and called his phone. "I'm downstairs," she said when he answered. "Elena, I know you need space. I'm not asking you to talk to me. I just want you to listen for 2 minutes. Then I'll leave." Malik looked out his window. She was standing by her car, phone pressed to her ear. She looked tired and smaller than usual. 2 minutes, he said. "Thank you." Elena took a breath. "I talked to a lawyer about the rumors. There's not much we can do legally. People can speculate. But I also talked to my publicist. She says the best thing is to ignore it. Don't respond. Don't explain. Don't give it more attention. It'll die down." "How long?" "A week, maybe 2. There's always something new to gossip about." Malik was quiet. "I also want you to know that I don't care what they're saying about me. I've dealt with rumors before, but I care that you're getting hurt. That wasn't supposed to happen, but it did happen." "Yeah, it did. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't think about it. I'm sorry I put you in this position." Elena paused. "But Malik, I'm not sorry we're friends. I'm not sorry about the pottery class or the food trucks or any of it. Those were the best days I've had in years." "Elena, I know you need to protect yourself. I understand if you don't want to see me anymore. But I needed you to know that what we have is real. At least it is for me." She hung up before he could respond. Malik stood at the window watching her drive away. His chest felt tight, like he couldn't get enough air. The next morning, Tanya brought coffee and sat at his kitchen table uninvited. "You look like hell," she said. "Everyone keeps telling me that. Because it's true. What's going on?" Malik told her about the rumors, about Elena's visit, about feeling torn between protecting himself and missing his friend. "So what do you want to do?" Tanya asked. "I don't know." "Yes, you do. You're just scared to say it." Malik poured himself more coffee. "I want to call her back." "Then why don't you?" "Because you were right. Rich people live in different worlds. This is what happens when those worlds collide." "Maybe. Or maybe this is what happens when you care about someone enough to take risks." Malik looked at his sister in surprise. "I thought you didn't trust her." "I don't trust rich people in general. But I trust your judgment. And I've seen how you've been the past month. Happier. More like yourself. What if it happens again? What if there are more rumors? Then you deal with it, together. It's not that simple." Tanya leaned across the table. "Malik, when Mom died, you shut down. You built walls around yourself to keep from getting hurt again. I understood that. But you can't live in those walls forever." "I'm not living in walls." "You are. You work alone. You live alone. You don't let anyone get close. That's not living. That's just surviving. Surviving is enough." "No, it's not. And deep down, you know it." Tanya stood up. "Call her or don't call her. But don't make the decision out of fear. Make it because it's what you really want." After she left, Malik sat in his quiet apartment thinking about walls. About surviving versus living. About the difference between protecting himself and punishing himself. His phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "I know you need space. I just wanted you to know. I turned down the consulting idea. You were right. It would have changed things between us in ways I didn't consider. I'd rather have your friendship than your professional advice." Malik stared at the message. Elena had given up the project. The thing she'd seemed so passionate about, because he'd been uncomfortable with it. He typed back, "Can we talk?" The response came immediately. "Yes, where?" "My place, 20 minutes. I'll be there." When Elena knocked on his door, Malik let her in. It was the first time she'd been inside his apartment. She looked around at the simple furniture, the clean but worn surfaces, the carefully organized space. "It's nice," she said. "It feels like you. Honest. Real. Comfortable. Like a place where you could actually live instead of just existing." They sat on the couch, a careful distance between them. "I'm sorry I disappeared for 3 days," Malik said. "You don't have to apologize. I understand why you needed space." "Do you?" "Because I'm not sure I do." Elena turned to face him. "What do you mean?" "I mean I was scared. Not of the rumors exactly, but of what they represented. Of being pulled into your world where I don't understand the rules. You don't have to understand the rules. You just have to be yourself. It's not that simple when people are watching, when they're looking for reasons to judge." Elena was quiet for a moment. "You're right. I live in a fishbowl. Everything I do gets scrutinized. I forget that not everyone is used to that. I don't want to be a story in a gossip column. You won't be. Not if we're careful." "How careful?" "As careful as you need to be. We can meet at private places. We can avoid anywhere photographers might be. We can—" "Elena, stop." She looked at him, confused. "I don't want to sneak around like we're doing something wrong. I don't want to hide in private places and avoid photographers. That's not friendship. That's shame." "Then what do you want?" Malik thought about Mrs. Alvarez's words, about Tanya's warning against making decisions out of fear, about the past month and how much lighter his life had felt with Elena in it. I want to be your friend, real friend, not secret friend. Even if people talk. Even if people talk. Elena's smile was like sunshine after rain. Are you sure? No. But I'm sure that I don't want to lose you again because I'm afraid of what other people think. Elena reached over and took his hand. Her fingers were warm and steady. I promise I'll be more careful about putting you in difficult positions. And I promise I'll tell you when I'm feeling overwhelmed instead of just disappearing. Deal. They sat holding hands for a moment, both of them smiling. So what now? Elena asked. Now we figure out how to be friends in the real world. Not hiding, but not making ourselves targets either. I can live with that. Good. Because I have an idea for our next adventure. What kind of idea? The kind that involves getting dirty and probably embarrassing ourselves. Elena laughed. My favorite kind. 2 weeks later, they were volunteering at a community garden in Malik's neighborhood. Elena had traded her expensive clothes for jeans and old sneakers. Her hands were covered in soil, and she had leaves in her hair. This is harder than it looks, she said, struggling to pull up a stubborn weed. You're trying to muscle it. Use leverage. Malik showed her how to work the shovel under the root system. The weed came up easily. Show off, Elena said, but she was smiling. They worked in companionable silence for a while. Other volunteers moved around them. Families, teenagers doing community service, retired folks who'd been gardening their whole lives. No one seemed to recognize Elena or care that she was there. She was just another pair of hands helping to make something grow. I like this, Elena said during their lunch break. Gardening? Being useful, being part of something, not being the person in charge. You're good at it. I'm terrible at it, but I'm getting better. After lunch, they helped plant tomato seedlings. Elena was careful and methodical, making sure each plant had enough space and water. When they finished, their section of the garden looked neat and hopeful. Think they'll grow? Elena asked. If we take care of them. I volunteer here most weekends. You're welcome to join me. Elena's face lit up. I'd like that. As they cleaned their tools, an older man named James came over to thank them. He'd been organizing the garden for 5 years, turning an empty lot into a place where families could grow their own food. You two make a good team, he said. Hope to see you back next week. After he walked away, Elena turned to Malik. A good team, apparently. I like the sound of that. On the drive back to Malik's building, Elena was quiet and thoughtful. What's on your mind? Malik asked. I was thinking about what James said, about being a team, and about something else. What? Elena pulled into a parking space but didn't turn off the car. I want to show you something, but it has to do with business, and I know that makes you uncomfortable. What kind of something? A project proposal, not for you to work on, just for you to see, because your opinion matters to me. Malik studied her face. This isn't about the consulting thing? No. This is about something I've been working on since our conversation at the diner. Something I want to do regardless of whether you're involved. Okay. Show me. Elena pulled out her phone and opened a presentation. It's called the Community Partnership Initiative. Instead of buying properties and displacing existing residents, Ward Development would partner with communities to improve housing while keeping it affordable. We'd invest in infrastructure, create jobs for local workers, and ensure that longtime residents benefit from development instead of being pushed out by it. Malik scrolled through the slides. The idea was ambitious and complex, but it addressed many of the issues that had destroyed his childhood neighborhood. This would cost your company money, he said. Short term, yes. Long term. It creates sustainable communities and loyal customers. Plus, it's the right thing to do. What does your board think? I haven't presented it yet. I wanted to run it by someone I trust first. Elena, this is bigger than anything we've talked about. I know, but it feels important, like something my father should have done instead of what he actually did. Malik handed the phone back. It's a good idea. Complicated, but good. You think it could work? I think it's worth trying, but you'll need community input, real input, not just surveys and focus groups. What kind of input? People who've lived through displacement. People who understand what gentrification actually feels like. People who know the difference between help and harm. Elena nodded. Would you consider being one of those people? Not as an employee, but as an advisor? Someone who could help me ask the right questions? Malik thought about it. What would that look like? Meetings maybe once a month, reviewing proposals before they go to communities, making sure we're actually listening instead of just talking. No payment? If you want payment, we can discuss it. But it would be small. This isn't about hiring you. It's about making sure we do this right. Malik was quiet for a long moment. The old fear was there, of being pulled into Elena's world, of becoming dependent on her approval. But underneath it was something else. Excitement. The possibility of actually making a difference. I'll think about it, he said. That's all I ask. As Elena drove away, Malik stood on the sidewalk feeling like he was standing at the edge of something big. Scary, but big. Mrs. Alvarez appeared beside him as if by magic. That girl is good for you, she said. You think so? I know so. You stand different when she's around. Taller. We're just friends. Mrs. Alvarez gave him a look. Mijo, I may be old, but I'm not blind. What's that supposed to mean? It means friendship is a good start, but don't be afraid of more if it comes. There won't be more. We're too different. Different how? You both work hard. You both care about people. You both laugh at the same things. Seems like the important things are the same. Mrs. Alvarez patted his arm. Besides, different isn't bad. Different is interesting. That night, Malik called Elena. Hi, she said, sounding pleased. Did you think about the advisor thing? I did, and I have an answer. Yeah? Yes, but with conditions. Name them. First, if it doesn't work out, we can end the arrangement without it affecting our friendship. Agreed. Second, I get to be honest, even when you don't want to hear it. Especially when I don't want to hear it. Third, we move slow. No rushing into anything, no grand announcements. We test ideas small before we go big. That's smart. Yes. Malik smiled. Then I'm in. Really? Really? Elena's laugh was pure joy. Thank you. This is going to be good, Malik. I can feel it. I hope so. I know so. 6 months later, Malik stood in the community center where Ward Development was presenting their first community partnership proposal. The room was packed with residents, local leaders, and reporters. Elena stood at the front, looking nervous but determined. This isn't about us coming in and telling you what you need, she said to the crowd. This is about us listening and partnering with you to build something better together. The presentation went well. There were tough questions and skeptical comments, but also genuine interest and hope. When it was over, people lingered to talk and ask follow-up questions. How do you think it went? Elena asked Malik during a quiet moment. Good. Hard, but good. Think they trust us. Some do. Others will need to see results before they believe. That's fair. Elena nodded. We'll have to earn it. Yeah, but that's how it should be. As the crowd started to thin out, Mrs. Alvarez appeared at Malik's side. I'm proud of you, she said. For what? For not letting fear decide your life. Malik looked across the room at Elena, who was deep in conversation with a local pastor about affordable housing options. She caught his eye and smiled. It's worth the risk, he said. The business or the girl? Both, Mrs. Alvarez chuckled. About time you figured that out. Later that evening, Malik and Elena sat on the steps outside his building sharing takeout Chinese food. It had become their tradition after long days. Simple food, quiet conversation, easy companionship. "Thank you," Elena said. "For what?" "For pushing me to do this right, for not letting me take shortcuts or make assumptions. Thank you for listening." "Even when you told me things I didn't want to hear?" "Especially then." Elena leaned against his shoulder. "I have something for you." She pulled a small wrapped box from her bag. Inside was a simple leather bracelet, similar to the one he'd made her 20 years ago, but new. "I thought maybe it was time for a new oath," she said. "What kind of oath?" "To keep showing up, to tell the truth, to not disappear when things get hard." Malik held the bracelet in his palm. And to see where this goes, not just the business partnership, us. Malik looked at her. "Elena, I know it's complicated. I know we're different in a lot of ways. But I also know that I'm happier when I'm with you than when I'm not. And I think maybe you feel the same way." He did feel the same way, had been feeling it for months but hadn't known how to say it. What if people talk? Let them talk. What if it doesn't work out? Then we figure it out. But what if it does? Malik thought about all the risks they'd already taken, all the fears they'd already faced, all the ways their lives had gotten better since that day Elena had shown up at his door with a faded bracelet and an old promise. "Okay," he said. "Okay? Okay, let's see where this goes." Elena's smile was radiant. She held out her wrist, and Malik tied the new bracelet on with steady hands. "To new promises," he said. "To keeping them," Elena replied. They sat together on the steps as the sun set over the city. Two people who'd found their way back to each other across 20 years and 1,000 small fears. Around them, the neighborhood hummed with life. Families heading home from work, kids playing in the courtyard, neighbors calling greetings to each other from windows and doorways. It was ordinary and real and exactly right. Not a fairy tale ending, but something better. A true beginning.